Good morning and welcome to Community Church. Please join in our opening hymn, number 123, Spirit of Life, 123 in your gray hymnal. Welcome to Community Church Unitarian Universalist. I'm your worship associate, Jim O'Neill. And it's a joy to be with you on this sunny morning after all of the deluge of rain yesterday. For those new to our community, we are a progressive, open-minded, and inclusive religious community. We welcome all who are on a search for spiritual truth and meaning. Ours is a faith in action as we do the work of social justice and elevate compassion in our quest to live ethically, recognizing the inherent worth and dignity of every being. Please look to your weekly email for announcements, and we do have several announcements this morning. Deborah?
Good morning. My first announcement is about the annual congregational meeting, which will be right after the service today. So please, after the end of the service, please remain here, and we'll move right into our meeting after the service and before we move over to the fellowship hall. And remember, it'll be short. We're just going to be talking about election of officers. We have a community lighthouse ceremony and some brief reporting about our past year and what we can look forward to in the coming year. The second announcement that I have is about Together New Orleans. And there will be a delegates assembly this Tuesday night, June the 9th, from 6 to 7:30. It's going to be at the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers office out on Ridge Lake Drive out in Metairie, just off of Causeway. We have a few of us who are going. I will be there. Michelle Farston will be there. Emma Keverly is going. And we would like to encourage anyone else who would like to go. If you would like to go and you're in New Orleans and you would thinking about a ride or whatever, you can maybe talk to me after. Maybe we can work some out that you could come with me if you would like to go. We have the flyer I have posted on the door to the office, which gives the information of registering, because you need to register. It's a little short form to fill out. I encourage you to go. What we'll be talking about is 3 resolutions to be approved that night. One is the People's Progress Report, which if you were at the Delegates Assembly or heard about the Assembly last year, this is where we have put together some evaluation of the job that our elected officials are doing. They promised that they would attend to certain issues that we asked them about, and so we have a report of where they stand on how they're responding to those promises that they made. The second is about a civic academy strategy, which you'll be hearing more about, because we will actually be hosting one of those civic academies later this summer. And then the last is related to a community solar subscription program that TNO is involved with, that we will be approving that strategy at that meeting. So we have some big, exciting things going on. So I encourage you, if you can at all make it on Tuesday night, it's just from 6 till 7:30. And you can talk to me or to Michelle after the service and after the meeting, and we'll be happy to talk about it more.
We also have an announcement from Brad.
Thank you, Jim. On the table outside, the entry table, there's little flyers for the Gillespie Center Memorial Community Breakfast, which we would normally have at First Church, but for this June, and it's this Saturday, June 13th, from 11 to 12:30 here in the sanctuary. And normally we would have a particular community topic or social justice concern that would be focused on, but on the eve of the General Assembly of the UUA, we thought we would have a coming together of the 3 area community church, First Church, and North Shore Church, with a focus on social justice and what we're doing collaboratively. And then at the end, have a spotlight on the community lighthouse. Boy, that picture in that program was so cool to see. So anyway, that's this Saturday at 11 o'clock here, and we'll have coffee and refreshment as part of it. And if you have any questions about it, you can see me. It'll also be announced in the newsletter. Thanks.
We'd also like to welcome any new and returning visitors today. We hope you will stay after the service for our refreshments and fellowship. In the spirit of fellowship, please turn to your neighbor, especially those you do not know, and say hello. We are delighted to welcome back to our pulpit our own Alicia Cooke. Alicia is a high school social studies teacher with a varied background in healthcare policy, community organizing, and climate justice advocacy. If you can see all of her sermons at aliciacook.substack.com. We're delighted to have her back in our pulpit today, and she will lead us in the opening words.
Good morning. Yeah. I suppose I have to update that bio to say I was a high school teacher. That's right. And maybe we'll see. Okay. Our opening words come from Rabindranath Tagore. The same streams of life that run through my veins night and day run through the world and dances in rhythmic measures. It is the same life that shoots in joy through the dust of the earth, in numberless blades of grass, and breaks into tumultuous waves of leaves and flowers. It is the same life that is rocked in the ocean cradle of birth and of death, in ebb and flow. I feel my limbs are made glorious by the touch of this world of life, and my pride is from the life throb of ages, dancing in my blood at this moment.
It is our ritual to light a chalice, invoking hope and eternal truth to our worship. Please join us in singing the words of the chalice lighting, printed in your order of service. This way to affirm the light of truth and knowledge and the warmth of love and the fire of hope and commitment. And now Michelle Firestone has a time for all ages for us.
Good morning. In the next 30 days, we'll be celebrating a number of celebrations of freedom. First of all, it's Pride Month, also Juneteenth, and then July 4th, of course. But today we're going to talk about pride. When we're children, we think about families as being a mother, a father, and maybe some children. But not all families look like that. Some families have two mothers. Some families have two fathers. They're all different kinds of combinations. Up until 11 years ago, it was not the law of the land for men to marry men and women to marry women. But there are a lot of women out there who want to marry women and men who want to marry men. So thankfully, that became the law 11 years ago. So we want to celebrate today the freedom to be yourself. As Unitarians, we believe that people can love who they love. Love is never wrong. Love is always right. And they can marry who they want to marry, and they can be who they want to be. Sometimes people are born, they look like a boy on the outside, but they know down and deep inside that they're really a girl. And then some people are born, they look like a girl on the outside, but they know deep inside that they're really a boy. But this month, we get to celebrate people being who they really are. And that's why we call it pride. They can be proud of who they are. And we celebrate that.
Let's join in singing the children wherever they are. Now in peace, go now in peace, may the spirit of God surround you everywhere. Wake up.
Oh yeah, thank you, Jim. So I'm a little nervous about this part because I don't know if this has ever been done in a church before. And so hopefully when I'm done, you won't say, oh, this is why the military doesn't consider us a religion. So I'm wondering how many of us are familiar with the concept of the trolley problem. Okay, so good. And for those who don't know, the trolley problem is a set of ethical dilemmas that increase in complexity, and they really are meant to get at the heart of how we feel about the value of life. One of my favorite variations on the trolley problem is done by a man named Neil Argawal. This is something I've played with my students in the classroom. I think it's a wonderful thought-provoking exercise, and because it is very related to what I'm going to be talking about today, we are going to just go through some of these dilemmas together. We don't need to discuss unless someone has a burning thing they want to share, but we're just going to do a simple vote for what our trolley should do, and that will make sense in a moment. There's no right or wrong answers, so don't feel like you have to look around to see if someone is answering the same as you do. All right, here we go. We're going to begin with a very classic iteration of the trolley problem. Oh no, a trolley is headed towards 5 people. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, killing 1 person instead. What do you do? So here's some of our classic example. I'm going to give you a moment to think, and then we're going to vote. How many of you would vote to pull the lever? How many of you would vote to do nothing? All right, that's as unanimous as we're going to get it.
Oh my God, you killed him.
That's as graphic as it's going to get, I promise you. All right.
And as you can see, 72% of people agree with you on this problem. All right, our second one. The trolley is headed towards 5 people. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, killing 4 people instead. What do you do? Does that make sense? How many of you would choose to pull the lever? Who would choose to do nothing? We will pull the lever.
You killed them. You literally just killed them.
All right, now I think I know how we're going to vote on this one. When a trolley is headed towards 5 people, you can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, but then your life savings will be destroyed. So, what would you do? How many of you would pull the lever? How many of you would do nothing? You are not like my students, and that is a good thing. We will pull the lever. And only 57% agree.
That's
This time you can pull the lever to the other track and sacrifice yourself instead. How many of you would pull the lever?
Do I know them?
It looks like they might be the choir because they're not brilliant. Right. How many of you would do nothing? It's a hard one. I think we're a little bit more evenly split, but I think slightly more would pull the lever.
I'm like, why are they on the track? Why are they on the track?
37%. This time, you can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, but then the original copy of the Mona Lisa would be destroyed. Who would pull the lever? I'm not even going to ask. 4 more questions left in this round. All right. The trolley's headed towards a rich man. The rich man offers you $500,000 to pull the lever, which would divert the trolley and kill someone else.
You pull the lever,
If you pull the lever and get someone else.
you get money and you kill someone. who's trying to get you to kill somebody.
So I better start over with that, but who would pull the lever? And who would do nothing? That's a harder one. I think it's gonna people do nothing.
Kill the rich man. Kill the rich man. You can get his money afterwards.
See how your responses are getting increasingly less common too. I think it's interesting. All right, a trolley's headed towards $5. You can divert it to the other track, running over a cat instead.
I've never seen
How many of you would pull the lever? How many people do nothing?
You kill a cat for 5 lobsters. I'm gonna kill the lobsters.
Trolley's headed towards 5 people who are sleeping and won't feel any pain. You can pull the lever to divert to the other track, so or running over someone who's wide awake instead. Who would pull the lever? Who would do nothing? And this is our last question. The trolley's headed towards 5 people who tied themselves to the track. You can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, killing one person who accidentally tripped onto the track instead. Who would pull the lever?
Let us read it again.
Oh, sure.
If we pull the lever,
These 5 tied themselves. See their smiling faces. And then this one person tripped. Pull the lever. Raise your hand.
I mean, you're talking
To
for
do nothing.
it's on them. I'm gonna do nothing.
And finally, you're back with the majority of people. Now you agree with 75 people.
You can play it for many more iterations, but we are not going to do that. It's a silly exercise. Hopefully, though, it does open up our minds to how they work when we approach these more serious moral questions of how we determine who lives and how we determine who dies. So thank you for indulging me, and we will move on.
Now is our sacred time of joys and sorrows. In person here, you may write on one of the cards being passed out by our greeters. If you're online, you may write your joys and sorrows in the comments section to be read aloud. Spirit of community in which we share and find strength and common purpose. We turn our minds and hearts towards one another, seeking to bring into our circle of concern all who need our love and support, those who are ill, those who are in pain, either in body or in spirit, those who are lonely, those who have been wronged. We also celebrate the joys of our community. During the interlude, please join in 1031 in the teal hymnal, Filled with Loving Kindness, number 1031.
The first verse is I. The second verse, we're going to be saying, may you be filled with loving kindness. And the third verse, we say, may we be filled with loving kindness. It doesn't say that, but just I, you, we.
A sorrow from Cynthia. I had to say goodbye to my 19-year-old cat, Olay. He was a great companion, and he will be greatly missed. And this sorrow of losing a beloved best friend, we hold you in our heart. From Joel, 3 cheers to Jim O'Neill for his very apt letter to the editor this week. It's posted in the fellowship hall. Many hexes on Pete Hegsteth for cutting UUs from the list of recognized religion at the DOD, not DOW, and for removing all women and African Americans from the Navy promotion list. From Alice, happy to see our mayor challenge the Louisiana Supreme Court decision that is depriving the voters of their choice for criminal court clerk, Calvin Duncan. Said it probably won't change their minds. A joy, gratitude for the activation and outreach like the Community Fridges project that CCUU participates in. A joy, I danced at a Prince party with a purpose last night to support pro bono legal services for immigrant children. A sorrow about harm to public lands. A sorrow. Looks like my grandpa has passed away at 97. Has passed away at the ripe old age of 89. R.I.P. Joe Park Poe. From Marianne, sad and angry that the U.S. military will no longer recognize Unitarian Universalism as a religion. From Elise, yesterday the Pentagon decided we're not a religion. I believe this is the first volley, and this administration is going to come after our tax-exempt status, probably before November. I don't have an answer, but we should start working on a strategy sooner rather than later. And from Will, a sorrow. Last week, a bath faucet broke during the night, and I woke to a house with very wet carpets and hard flooring. Replacing sheetrock, painting, new kitchen cabinets will be required. It will be some time before some semblance of normalcy returns. Rats. 2 joys, also from Will. First, over the next 2 weeks, John Davenport, Jerry Driscoll, and I will turn 82. All right. Welcome to 82. I'm there too. Second game night had a great turnout yesterday, and in attendance were 12 rational, albeit fun-loving Homo sapiens and our sweet canine. And now we have, sorry.
So the choir that the church gives to and gave to Second Sunday Play to, we just freed somebody from jail, and I dropped him off at his house in the Plus with his family, and they're all really grateful. And before we freed his wife, so we reunited them with their child, and they're a happy family now. So thanks to this church.
And now we take a few moments in silence to light 2 more candles for the joys that are bubbling up, but we haven't found words for them yet, or the sorrows perhaps too difficult to share at this time. We hold you in our hearts. Our first reading is from the award-winning poet Valentina Cooke. It's entitled "To the Lost Flowers of Minyab," and it's for the 160 young girls killed at the Sharab Tayyabeb Girls' School in Iran. Here is the beeswax candle you took turns blowing out at bedtime. Here is the faded blue quilt stitched in your family a century ago. The quilt your sister and you curled beneath each night. Your body's a warm treble clef with shiny, skinny limbs. Here are blessed milk thistle and the cherished lily. Here are roasted aubergine, pomegranates, and the crispy rice that stuck to the bottom of the pot. Here are marbles, the jump rope, your favorite doll, and here your strictest teacher and the poetry you learned to recite. Swinging in the park with your best friend, sorrow of returning home at sunset, scarlet orchids and white hyacinth. A sitar perched on your thigh, the way one finger coaxed music from the instrument as your mother listened from across the hall. Here are pink damask roses, your shattered childhood, your whole future returned to you. Quiet mornings of old age and the long, long river of memory.
Well, good morning again, and happy Sunday, and congratulations on waking up this morning and being part of the world of the living. Life is such a very precious gift. And as we know, it can be so tenuous, it's good to spend as much time as possible rejoicing in life, which is what you can do when you get home, because this sermon ended up being way more about death than about life, which is not the way I planned it. But of course, you cannot appreciate one without contemplating the other. And there are days when death seems to be everywhere, doesn't it? I want to tell you about some deaths now, or depending on your perspective, some death-adjacent situations. And as I do, I want you to reflect a bit on how each one lands with you. And I'm not going to suggest that you feel a particular way about any of them, just that you note how it makes you feel. Let's start with some large numbers. 1,200 Israelis were killed in just 2 days in 2023 in a massive act of terrorism. More than 73,000 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli forces since then. About 21,000 of them were children. The civil war in Sudan is so intense that the government is blocking access to data gathering, so we don't know how many people have died. Maybe 200 or maybe 20,000, but maybe as many as 150,000. Last year, 3,600 people died in Myanmar due to an earthquake. And US strikes in Yemen killed 224 civilians in a 2-month period. And those are large numbers, and large numbers can be hard to wrap our minds around. So here are some smaller ones. The civil rights leader, Reverend Jesse Jackson, died in February at the age of 84. 3 people died from measles in the US last year, the first deaths from the disease in more than a decade. 5 people died instantly when the OceanGate Titan submersible imploded in the Atlantic in 2023. 4 of them were multimillionaires. 1 was a teenager. A nurse named Adriana Smith was declared brain dead in February of last year, but her body stayed tethered to the world via life support until her child was delivered on June 17th, 2025. And her child still lives. Luigi Mangione allegedly shot and killed Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, on December 4th, 2024. And prosecutors are seeking the death penalty for Mangione in response. So how did each of those deaths hit you? Did they each have the same impact? I'm guessing not. Our relationship with death is complex, and there are reasons, expressed or otherwise, why some deaths just pull harder at our hearts than others. Some deaths don't hurt at all, and a few are welcomed, maybe with relief, maybe even with joy. In the depths of my own heart, for example, I have to admit, I have a couple people in mind who I believe that by their death, they could make this world a better place. And that uncomfortable truth was, in fact, the inspiration behind this sermon. And with the internet providing us a front row seat to nearly every disaster on the planet, it's simply too much to take in, quite literally. It's utterly impossible for us to give each death the full gravity that it deserves. Instead, we have to come to an understanding with ourselves at some point that no matter how harsh it might feel to concede it, we cannot hold space, not real space, for every human being that dies on this planet. Like with everything else in our overstimulating world, we have to choose which deaths we pay attention to and which we do not. Almost 20 years ago, the researchers Thomas Eisensee and David Stromberg set out to discover how we assign value to different deaths based on their coverage in US media. Using death toll data, they found that for every person killed by a volcano, almost 40,000 people would have to die from a food shortage in order to have the same probability of being seen on US television. The researchers also estimated that an average of 91 Pacific Islanders or 45 Africans would need to die to achieve the same level of coverage as 1 European killed in a disaster. Those results are possibly dated, but it's no secret that the sudden and the spectacular, such as an earthquake, capture our attention more than the drudgery of a long and drawn-out event, especially in a place that not many Americans have ever heard of or been to. And it's no surprise that in a culture shaped by white supremacy, the white majority tends to reserve more sympathy for those who look like them than for the other. And what all this comes down to is a question: if we experience some deaths as being worth more than others, does it follow that some lives are worth more than others? In other words, is life sacred across the board and for all people? Well, yes, right? After all, nearly every major religion holds this to be a tenet in some form. In Hinduism, all creatures have a soul, which is in turn part of the supreme soul, which connects all living creatures, even through the continuous cycle of death and rebirth. Islam likens personal life and death to universal life and death. As the Quran states, whoever takes a life, it will be as if they killed all of humanity. And whoever saves a life, it will be as though they saved all of humanity. Judaism explicitly allows someone to break Jewish laws if it means saving a life. The Catholics, of course, believe that life is a sacred gift from God that begins at conception. And both Buddhism and Jainism adhere to the principle of ahimsa, or nonviolence, of which the primary charge is to avoid killing and to protect life. In fact, in Jainism, they go even further and extend this principle to all living things. So in Jainism, even the lowly and obnoxious mosquito, for example, is never slapped, but simply gently brushed away. And then there is the consistent life ethic movement, a primarily Catholic philosophy that holds that the sanctity of life is absolute. This movement unequivocally condemns abortion, capital punishment, assisted suicide, and euthanasia. As the Catholic anti-war activist Eileen Egan put it, the protection of life is a seamless garment. You can't protect some life and not others. And yes, this makes so much sense on its face. It doesn't hold immediate answers, though, for the perennial questions that always arise from these ideologically pure positions. Abortion to save a woman's life, as is permitted in Judaism, for example. The taking out of a war criminal to avoid possible future deaths. These situations aren't theoretical, they're ones that we reckon with every day. And perhaps this is why the consistent life ethic movement is criticized even from within the Catholic Church. In 2004, the future Pope Benedict, in writing on the subject of who was worthy to receive communion, maintained that while Catholics might ascribe to a number of positions on capital punishment and war and still stay true to their faith, no good Catholic could ever support abortion or euthanasia. And curiously, he didn't go into any detail about what puts abortion and euthanasia in a different category than capital punishment and war. I imagine his justification is in the Bible somewhere, but it still just seems like it would be open to so many different interpretations. We see that nearly every faith carves out exceptions detailing, or at least leaving space, for instances when ending a life might be permissible. Even the gentle Jains have to eat, and so vegetables and grains and other non-sentient food sources are on the table for Jains, so to speak. And so I don't agree with the consistent life ethic movement that the brave or the ethically superior position is to say that all ending of life is immoral. Full stop. It strips the nuance from a highly ethical question that people have been asking for thousands of years. And to truly live by the tenets of any one of these faiths, and to do so in a way that really accounts for the realities of this world and really tends to those nagging questions that might keep you up at night. It's not enough to memorize a black and white list of who's allowed to live and who's allowed to die. Nor do I think that that's the most important way to approach this issue of the sanctity of life. But that being said, in the United States and perhaps elsewhere, we are currently in need of a radical, come to Jesus level moral revival regarding the value of life. Because it is far, far too easy to end a life in 2026. The Cameroonian political philosopher Akile Mbembe coined the term necropolitics in 2003 to describe how the ultimate manifestation of political and social sovereignty is controlling who gets to live and who gets to die. In necropolitics, sovereignty over life and death doesn't just refer to warfare or any other literal killing of human beings, although that's certainly part of it. Mbembe also proposes the existence of what he calls death worlds. quote, new and unique forms of social existence in which vast populations are subjected to living conditions that confer upon them the status of the living dead. He cites slavery and colonial occupation as the primary example of these death worlds, places where people are caught in an existence that barely justifies itself. He points to South African apartheid, the Nazi regime, and occupied Palestine in particular. And when I read that, I was reminded of some words I read recently of a young medical student who was facing yet another displacement from her home in Gaza City. She said, "I just want to die right now. I hate myself for being in Gaza. No one showed us any mercy. I just want to die right now. I think it's the only way that I will find relief." And her words epitomize the pain and the cruelty of being relegated to an existence in one of these death worlds. And once you know about the idea of death worlds, you begin to see them everywhere. And you see them in homeless encampments and prisons and immigration detention centers. You're reminded of them when you hear about the soaring costs of rent and healthcare as wages stay the same, condemning people to work themselves to the bone just to survive, just for the bread and none of the roses. In death worlds, the line between killing and allowing to die is blurred. And Mbembe even postulates that the line between killing and suicide is blurred. He points to historic examples of people ending their lives to avoid a life of slavery. The idea that no life is better than a dehumanized one, and that creating the conditions for a dehumanized life is just as bad as ending one. So necropolitics involves these two grave sins, the imposition of death and the imposition of a constant state of suffering. And both of these things seem to me to be uniquely easy to do in 2026. These globalized times, the ones that allow us to learn of all these deaths up close, are the same ones that we often describe as frictionless. So things like travel, communicating, doing business, technology has made these things all so much easier to do. And something else that has become frictionless is to kill. To end certain lives is easy. Oh, so easy, and way too easy. And this happens in ways we barely think about on a daily basis. The factory farming industry is designed to take place far away from you. You don't need to think too hard about where your food comes from. An AI bot at a health insurance company could reject a patient's treatment plan based on an algorithm, which for some might be a death sentence. And then, of course, we have the power of drones and long-range missiles to literally kill unseen people at the push of a button, as exemplified by 170 people, almost all of them young girls, killed by an American Tomahawk missile at the Shajara Tayyib Elementary School in Manab, Iran. These girls did not die looking their murderers in the eye at close range. No one responsible will ever look their families in the eye to apologize either. The US had outdated satellite information. I guess that happens sometimes. And then the war moves on. And several years ago, I remember hearing someone say that the cause of gun control in America was lost after Sandy Hook. That if we didn't take collective action for 20 murdered first graders, nothing would ever make us act. And I felt the same way after Manab. Nothing that happened in the war would matter more than that. And we should talk about it every single day and demand accountability. But the war and life and everything else moves on. We've moved on to gas prices now. We talk about gas prices. And gas prices will matter far more to the midterms than those children that were murdered. And that is so painful to know. So again, I think we need a moral revival, a great reset when it comes to how we think about the sanctity of life. And I don't actually think that this is too hard, or that we've gone down any path that we can't back up from again. The vast majority of us do not want to contribute to the death worlds or lose our humanity. When a man named Brandon Bryant was honorably discharged from the Air Force in 2011, he was given an envelope. Inside the envelope was a number referring to the number of kills that Bryant had contributed to in his time as a military drone operator. 1,626. Bryant is one of 4 former servicemen who spoke out publicly against drone warfare in 2015. The hidden price, said Bryant, is we lose our humanity the more we excuse our ability to kill another human being. Bryant and his colleagues spoke of PTSD and nightmares and drinking themselves to sleep every single night. As the soul knows when something is amiss. And in speaking out to the public against this type of warfare, these 4 men were fighting for their own souls. I can't pretend to know what that journey back to humanity is like for them, but I encourage all of us to think about what our own journey back might need to look like, might need to be. I think it begins with the recognition of our inherent humanity as universal, and continues when we engage in life-saving actions. In essence, to hold a mirror up to the death worlds and meet careless acts of dehumanization with deliberate acts of life. Life-saving actions do not require physical strength or putting ourselves in the path of danger. On a segment of the My Unsung Hero feature of NPR, a man named Ken Wilcox once described contemplating stepping out into traffic during a low moment in his life, when a woman walking by very deliberately met his eye just to smile at him. All she did was smile. He said that smile was just enough of a glimmer of hope to bring him back from the edge, both literally and figuratively. And I'm sure she had no idea that she saved a life that day. Which makes me wonder who among you today might have saved a life without even knowing it. We are at times very, very powerful creatures. In fact, we have endless capacity and opportunity to save lives. A gift of time, a smile, food, money, attention. Any one of these things at the right moment could shine a light into the death worlds. In fact, if you study any successful social movement throughout history, you will see just how small the building blocks of that movement are. Great things happen through the smallest expressions of tenderness. Someone cooks a meal, someone lends a listening ear, a word of encouragement. Someone pays a light bill, someone gives a ride, someone shares a story with someone else. These are acts of tenderness that add up to ensure that humanity recognizes humanity. I think that recognition of each other's humanity is, at the end of the day, what most truly moral frameworks are asking us to do when they ask us to consider the sanctity of life. I even want to requote the Quran from earlier. Whoever takes a life, it will be as if they killed all of humanity, and whoever saves a life, it will be as if they saved all of humanity. The fate of all of us contained in the actions of any given individual. I am a Unitarian Universalist, and I don't ascribe to any faith that tells me who lives and who dies. I choose to begin with the recognition that my own life is a sacred thing, and how I choose to move through the world with that sacredness and all the steps I take to minimize the suffering of all other sacred beings around me. That is my own reckoning with the sanctity of life. As one of our own hymns puts it, life is the greatest gift of all the riches on the earth. So treasure it and measure it with deeds of shining worth. So go forth and cast your own unique light into the death worlds with your own unique deeds of shining worth. Amen.
Our community is a self-sustaining congregation. Members and friends' generosity help us do the sacred work of bringing justice, spirituality, and compassion to our community and beyond. You can give online, by text, or in person this morning. See the information in the back of your order of service for giving by text. Our offertory hymn is 331, Life is the Greatest Gift of All, number 331, in your gray hymnal.
Our benediction this morning comes from Alice Walker. Love is not concerned with whom you pray or where you slept the night you ran away from home. Love is concerned that the beating of your heart should kill no one. Go in peace and in hope and in the love of all living things. Amen.
Please join in our closing hymn, number 6, in your gray hymnal, Just as Long as I Have Breath, number 6. Please join in the chalice extinguishing found in your order of service. We please remain here for our congregational meeting.
You know, the visitors are invited to the meeting, they just can't vote if they'd like to see how we do our church business. Otherwise, there are no presidents. It's always an awkward time to have visitors come to the meeting. I would love to have.
All right. Okay, welcome to our annual congregational meeting for 2026, and I will call the meeting to order. I think we have a quorum. Did someone check to see that we have a quorum? I think we do. Yeah, I think we do. Yeah. Okay, just double checking. All right. So our agenda today is, first, we're going to do not a full presentation of all of the reports. You should have received in an email a full copy of the reports from all the various committees, which we're not going to present all of those today. I will do a brief wrap up of the past year, and we will also have our Vice President of Finance to do a report. And then we're going to do a community lighthouse ceremony, and followed by our presentation of our slate of officers, our election, the installation, and that's it. So that's a brief what we're getting ready to do. So I'm going to start as your outgoing president. I'm trying to get this so that I'm speaking into it. Okay. it's been when I first started to write this report, I'm like, what am I going to write about? What did we do this year? And then as I started writing, I was like, wow, we really accomplished a lot this year. And we did that thanks to just a wonderful group of board members that I worked with this year, all of whom not only are members of the board, but are involved in so many different other activities in our congregation. And they're just always ready to be there when something needs to be done. So the first thing that I'd like to do is just to introduce our current board. And I'd like, as I call your name, to please stand so that everybody pretty much knows you, but I want you to stand to be recognized. Liz Trotter, who is our president-elect, soon to be president. Kathy Larimer, our Vice President of Finance. Jolie Bunk, did Jolie come back in here? Or she might be fiercely writing checks as our treasurer. She's guarding our funds in the other room. Lizzie Colleen, who isn't here, she may be online, hopefully. She served as our secretary until February of 2026 when she had to step down due to some personal issues. But we really appreciate everything that she did, and she's always stepping up to do so much. And then I want to thank Jane Powell, who stepped in at that time to take over as secretary. Jane, would you stand up? Thank you. And then we have Rebecca Broom, who's one of our trustees. And Rebecca, again, has done so much for us. And then finally, Janet Lip-King, who is our other trustee, our second trustee. And of course, I said finally, but that's not true. Finally, Michelle Firestone, who was our past president, who is also served on the board. One thing you might notice is there's a lot of woman power on our board. So yes, we're there. So anyway, just to go through a few things that did happen this year. I started off this year, I went to the UU General Assembly in Baltimore, and also Lizzie was one of our online delegates to the GA. And that was an amazing experience. If you ever get a chance to go, please do, because it is really a chance to share with other UUs from around the world and learn more about what they do, what we have in common, and things that we can do. I brought back we brought back some things that we want to share. One of the things that we brought back was we now do our greeting during the service, where we greet our members. And those are some little things like that that just can make a big difference in the congregation. So if anybody gets a chance to go, I encourage you to do so. Next, we received a generous donation from a member of the Sierra Club who meets here, which we used to install a TV and screen in our fellowship hall, which has really been a great addition to the programs for us and for those people who rent our space. Then in August, on August 29th, we hosted the 20-year Katrina reunion, which was co-sponsored by us, the Greater New Orleans UUs, which was us, First UU, and the North Shore UU. And that brought all of us together. We had a meal. We shared memories. We had some people who came in from out of town who were important parts of our recovery after Katrina. And so it was really a wonderful event. In October and then in April, we welcome new members. And one thing I'm happy to say is that several of those new members have already jumped in and become active in our UU community. So I'm happy to see that and encourage everybody to be active to the extent that you can be. Next, we've needed a new sign for a long time. And so if you haven't noticed it yet, we now have a beautiful new sign out front. Thanks to a great extent, the work of Rebecca Broom. I thank her very much. There were others who were also involved, but Rebecca really spearheaded this project. We're waiting this week for the electrician to come to get it lighted, and then hopefully we'll have some kind of a blessing of the sign coming up in the near future. But it's just a beautiful sign. It's really great to see that. So that's a wonderful thing that occurred. Next, our longtime RE director, Cynthia Ramirez, resigned in December after serving us for 20 years, and we deeply appreciate her contributions to our ministry over the years. She guided so many of our UU children, some of them who are now adults, and she'll be sorely missed in that role. Right now, we do have just a small number of children coming in our congregation. So for right now, we are not looking at this point to replace our RE director until we can grow back our membership of families. And so that's something that we'll be looking at. In the meantime, we are providing childcare and some activities for the younger children who come on Sunday. And we're going to be doing that on a regular basis. So if you know of any families who want to come and maybe that might be holding them back, tell them we are providing that now, recognizing that to prepare for those younger children. And we'll keep evaluating where we go from here as we go along. In March, we replaced our microwave oven combination, which had had broken down. That was nice to have that and take that out of service sign off of the kitchen in the fellowship hall. And then we have our community lighthouse, which Kathy will be talking about a little bit more. We are one of the local community lighthouses, and we're just getting started for our big season here with hurricane season. And our members who are supporting that just came off of some training last weekend to be ready to go for that. And also with Together New Orleans, we are a very active member of Together New Orleans. We attended the Delegates Assembly and the citywide assemblies last summer and fall, where we addressed our needs to the candidates for city council and for mayor. Instead of waiting for them to do what we hope they'll do, we have told them what we'd like them to do, and we are preparing to keep them accountable for those things that they promised to do. I want to say that, and in that light, I announced earlier that there's a delegates assembly this Tuesday night, and that is the ongoing work of Together New Orleans. The other thing, one thing I want to say about UUs is that all of the meetings that we've been attending, in terms of our small numbers as UUs in the city, we are overwhelmingly percentage-wise represented. When we go around and do roll call, there's lots of Unitarian Universalists there. We surpass things like the big, Franklin Avenue Baptist Church and such. So I'm very proud every time we have an event, how many of us are here. And then finally, we now have on our board of directors Together New Orleans, our very own Michelle Firestone, who just became a member of the board of directors Together New Orleans. I'm almost there, but there were so many things. Like I said, once I started writing, just more and more things. We are now what is called an honor congregation. What this means is the UU, the National UU, has an annual program fund, and they designate a certain amount that is expected based on your membership numbers, your budget, or whatever. And this year we decided to meet our goal of that and become an honor congregation as a part of the annual program fund. And then finally, the biggest news is that we're going to have a minister starting in August. Reverend Gordon Bailey, who maybe he's listening right now. Hopefully he said he was going to start listening to our services before he arrived. So we are very excited that we will be having a minister starting in August. I look forward to all of that happening. The last thing I want to say is I want to encourage you, one thing I've really enjoyed about this past year is getting to know everybody better and getting to know this community better. And the way that you can do that is to be involved. You don't have to be, just a few, hours here or there of involvement can help out. So I encourage everyone to be involved, not just because, say we need the help, but because it's good for you. It's really is a good feeling, and it really helps you to get to know this community better, to participate in some small way. So that's my parting words to you, is to say, get in there and join us. I think you'll enjoy it. And so now I'm going to turn this over to our Vice President of Finance, Kathy Larimer.
I want to thank the Finance Committee members, Treasurer Jolie Bonk, Stewardship Chair Sean Lote, experienced investor Marilyn Malone, and our newest member, Linda Laban. myself as VP of Finance. I appreciate the work of all of these members and that of Rebecca Broom, who is managing the endowment fund. Under Sean Lode's lead, stewardship ministry has been very active this year. Marilyn Malone has done an outstanding job chairing the plant sale. So this report covers the time period from June 24th through May of 25. CCUU's bylaws state that the Finance Committee is established to recommend an annual operating budget and to manage the operating fund and the capital reserve fund. This ministry reviews the church income and expenditures to ensure that budget goals are being met and budget constraints are being satisfied. The committee proposes a new annual budget each year for congregational approval at the December congregational meeting and recommends board action to approve requested or required changes to the budget. Our ministry presented a 2026 budget. Our income consists of anticipated pledges of $112,000, rentals totaling about $32,000, $24,000 of which comes from the Lakeview Shepherd Center. Fundraising will exceed expectations with our now annual plant sale raising over $1,300. The penny drive raised $54. That's a lot of pennies. We also received nickels and dimes and quarters and 50-cent pieces too. So that was fantastic. We also got one West Side Transit line token, €1 2 cents. So it was a lot of fun. On the outgoing side, our largest expenses are $129,000 in staff and contractors, from ministers to lawn cutting, $8,825 for the UUA dues, and $1,200 for Together New Orleans dues. All ministries combined have a budget of $5,700. Jolie Bonk moved into the treasurer position and has reviewed every item with great scrutiny, leading to some advantageous changes for our church. We're so grateful to have received legacy gifts in 2024 of $603,000. We consider this corpus sacred and aspire to keep it invested in creating income, not used for our operating expenses. These funds and other funds in the operating budget not yet being used, which amount to roughly $390,000, are also being invested with Michael Barry, our financial advisor at Stifel. So in May of 2025, we had $888,000. In May of 26, we had $992,000. So we're doing all right and growing. It's a little bit less right now, but at the end of May, that's what it was. So for security and accuracy, we regularly have 2 people count and record the Sunday offering. Finance ministry encourages other ministries to stay in budget, and we coach them in how our system works. Using the UUA's worksheet, we have computed the minister's compensation. He will be making $80,000 in salary and housing, with benefits on top of that. Benefits come to a little over 30% generally, so it's not insignificant. We met regularly every month and consulted with Mr. Barry as needed to stay on top of our finances. We had another successful audit using Bill Fernandez's well-designed and efficient system. CCUU is in good financial shape and is keeping close watch over our funds. We keep in mind that the more money we use from the investments, the less money that they will make. So that is the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. And thank you, Jolie, who was not here when I introduced the board members. Here she is. Thank you, Jolie. We're now going to move on to our community lighthouse ceremony. And so I'm going to ask Kathy Larimer to come back up here. And as we begin, I will first ask Kathy, do you, Kathy Larimer, commit to being the community, CCUU's community lighthouse leader again this year? Okay, and with that, you can...
I don't change hats, I change jackets. So, all right. So here's the Together New Orleans report. Together New Orleans, known as TNO to us, is a group made up of congregations, unions, and civic organizations, which not only support issues that better the community, but originate plans to make New Orleans more sustainable. About 2 years ago, we met in the fellowship hall. Do y'all remember that, when we discussed issues that we were concerned with? This type of house committee took place throughout many organizations in TNO, and those issues were distilled to identify 4 major concerns, which led to the creation of the TNO platform. The first was cost of living. City council should lower bills by expanding community solar, fixing energy smart, stopping energy ghost charges, and opposing gas price hikes. The second was public works. Create rapid response crews of city hires to fix potholes, streetlights, and drainage, making these repairs faster and less expensive. Previously, they all had to be bid out, and we're all contractors for these services. We want them to regain contractor trust by paying invoices in 30 days and to restore contractor accountability by putting in benchmarks and penalties in every contract. We propose that they stop double digging by coordinating utilities so that streets are not torn up twice or more. Number 3 was jobs. Require all city and utility projects hire local workers, train apprentices, use union workers, and pay prevailing wages. Number 4 was power outages. Support the neighborhood power plan by putting solar plus batteries on every block to keep the lights on in outages and give the grid power when it is strained. TNO met with every major candidate for city council and for mayor, okay, and asked for the support of this plan, and all agreed. So that was a terrific thing to experience, really. The Sisters of the Holy Family in New Orleans East have donated land where solar panels are currently being installed to come online in November as community solar. This was another issue that TNO got involved with. The plan had been in place for 6 years and not a single person had signed up for it. So they dug into it and learned that the numbers weren't right in that, changed, got the city council to change these, figures that of how it all worked. And since then, I believe we have 16 applications for doing community solar. So this will allow subscribed homeowners and renters to save on their energy bills. This could be you. It will have a capacity of roughly 650 to 750 households and is open to all Orleans Parish residents. About half of these are saved for low to moderate income households. This will be administered by TNO and advertised through our member institutions. So let me know if you are interested. Sign up will take place in July and August. Training took place May 30th for lighthouse keepers. We're ready to open Community Church Lighthouse, our community lighthouse, which is the common name that is known by throughout our city. In New Orleans, they all have solar power and battery power storage, allowing us to power up in the time of need and recharge phones, computers, refrigerate medications for people, and provide a cooling center. So we are looking for more volunteers, so please contact us if you're interested. So it's never overnight here. It'll be 4-hour shifts during the day, and we'd love to have more people involved. So with that in mind, I'd like to bring up those of the team who are here. And so we have Carolee Jim O'Neill. And we do have these. Thank you. If you just wait right there, that would be nice. And our technical lead is Daryl Goodwin, who is a neighbor of the church and has been very involved and helpful. So we have our supplies and distribution lead, Sean Lode. Our list keeper is Linda Wren from First Church. Communications lead is Bill Rochelle. Our host site executive, that one's different than what I expected here. And we also have Emma Caverly and Michelle Firestone. So you can take whichever one of these for the moment. So I do want to ask you if you commit to this year being in these jobs for our community lighthouse.
Yes.
Thank you. We appreciate it. All right. Finished, yes. Those of us involved in TNO feel that we're part of an organization of great value to the community and to us individually.
All right. That's wonderful. And thank you for everyone who volunteered. And really makes me proud. Like I said, every time I attend something with Together New Orleans to see how much our involvement is. It's really great to see. So now we move on to our election of our Board of Trustees for the 2026-27 year. And I will announce the slate of officers that was developed by our nominating committee. Also keeping in mind that if anyone would like to nominate someone or themselves from the floor, we were also taking nominations from the floor. So President Elizabeth Liz Trotter, President-elect Elise Pisciotti, Vice President of Finance Kathy Larimer, Treasurer Jolie Bonk, Secretary Becca Broom, and the trustees at large Helen Stavros and Jane Powell. Do we have any other nominations from the floor? Okay. All right. Well, with that being said, do I have a motion? Sally moves to elect. Okay, Carol seconds. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay. Congratulations. We have a new set of officers for 2026-27. And so now I'm going to turn this over to Reverend Luck, who will do our installation of our officers.
There's a Chinese parable about a tiny hummingbird. It's lying on its back with its feet up, its tiny little feet in the air. It had heard the sky might fall that day, and he wanted to hold it up as if, and was standing there waiting, laying there waiting to do that. A big elephant came by and found the bird with his feet in the air and laughed cruelly. Do you really think those tiny feet could help hold the sky? Not alone, answered the bird. Each must do what he can, and this is what I can do. So this whole service has been around the theme of saying yes, as that last hymn that we sang. At least we said yes to life, and we're saying yes to our church. And so at this point, I will introduce, not a surprise, the outgoing president, who will introduce the incoming president, and then we'll go from there. Just call her up.
All right. Okay, Liz, would you come up? Okay. Okay, and then and then we'll call the existing board up.
Yes.
'Cause
Maybe there should be a pause here. Is there something you want to do? Okay.
Okay.
I just-
Yep.
whatever.
Well, okay. So we're going to call the rest of the board up also, the current board, not the new board, the outgoing board. If you'll please come up. Okay. Yeah.
I know when
Okay.
I just keep going.
Yeah, I know I did some, already. Okay. I just, I want us to recognize one more time. I know that I introduced the board, the current board, earlier, but I want to thank you again. And going back to that parable, that's exactly how I felt about this last year. This board has been super, everything that we, all of those things that I said we accomplished this year, none of that had to do with my work. It was all the work of everybody who pitched in various ways to do what needed to be done. And so I sincerely want you to recognize one more time this outgoing board, of which some of them will be incoming pretty soon. So thank you to you all. Oh, okay.
Hi. I just wanted to say in appreciation for all that Deborah had done this year, not only being president, but at the same time working on the search committee. We have a little token of appreciation. I'll hold it for you.
Ooh, I love her. Oh my goodness. Ooh.
It's like,
I don't know. It looks like a candle. And it looks like, is that what it is?
Yes.
A candle? Okay. And there's something in here, rattling around in here. Oh my gosh. Oh, I love it. A singing bowl. All right. I have to learn how to sing. No, you don't. It's a bowl to sing for. thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. And now, Liz,
Let's see,
I'm going to charge our new president here. Yes. Upholding the principles of our faith tradition, the president should have the well-being and health of the congregation and its ministry at heart and act accordingly. The office of the president lies at the heart of our congregational polity, and she must lead within the bonds of covenant. Do you, Liz, accept this trust from the members of this congregation?
I do.
All right. Okay, and now,
you can, if you would, turn and
Sure.
you will charge
the new
board
president.
trustees. She's the
Well, we need a
president.
new
Yes,
one.
but we need, okay, and now we need a new one. Okay, would the new board come up? The old board, new
Yeah.
board come up? Members,
All right, here they are. You can call them up. Anyway, that's Deborah. She's going to be past president.
Okay. Deborah Salvador is our past president. I will be the president. Elise Bishadi.
Once you get in order, yeah, if you would, and we kind of.
Kathy Larimer.
Deborah, once you be here. Okay, Deborah.
Joe Lieball.
Okay, Elise.
Kathy.
Okay.
Jolie Bong, Rebecca Broom, Helen Stavros, and Jade Powell. Will you take your offices gladly and with humility, doing your earnest best for the common good of Community Church Unitarian Universalist and its mission in the larger world? Will you remain in covenant with your fellow trustees and the members of this beloved congregation?
Congregation. Will you, the electors of this congregation, mindfully maintain right relationship with your elected leaders? And remember, you elected them. And will you give them your support as you and they promote the common good and mission of your congregation? I would like to hear it loudly. Yeah. We will. We thank each of you for your willingness to serve. And I want to say a nice, wonderful amen. Bless you, each one, and all of us as we go forward. Thank you.
Oh, goodness. Hi. Well, I was going to talk about getting involved with the church, but it seems to be a common thread. If at the end of the committee and ministry reports that were sent out, you'll see there's an organizational chart. And when you have a minute, you could take a look at that and see if that's a good way to get involved. You could see what's going on and who you could contact. Like they said before, it's a great way to get to meet people, get to know what we're all about. And it's very rewarding work. I'm really a little excited, nervous about this upcoming year. We have the new minister coming in. I'm going to be looking for some people to help with a welcoming committee. So if you're interested in that, there is talk with doing it with the GNOUU folks to have a big welcoming party. So be thinking about that, get some ideas. I probably will be talking to some of you personally. So, but anybody who's interested, please come see me. And I think it's going to be a great year. Just hold on. There's going to be changes and we're going to have to be ready for that. But this is a great group of people and I look forward to serving with you. Sorry. Do I have any motion to adjourn? A second? All right, we're adjourned officially. Go have some coffee. Thank you.